Bath, with your...
We can make it happen. We can make it happen. Let's try.
I want to thank Moshe Shilat and Al Chefe here from Sama, Didi Nafshi, Judah Jacobson. Some years ago, some chevra that came from Chabad asked me if there was any interaction that I had with the Rebbe Schlusi Aleinu. And they told her something that I really hadn't shared until that time, just some individuals, something more in my family. I wasn't planning on mentioning this, but there's such a hargosha that I have now. So I'm sure many of you went around in the way things go around these days, but I want to share it with you. And there was a time when I was faced with making a decision that's going to influence my entire future. And I wasn't sure la'an marlichim I see. I was very broken about this. My parents, especially my mother, she should be well. Parents very much wanted me to be a professional. I was planning on going that time to go to law school. I had prepared for that. There was something inside of me that was pulling me to you. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. They went through a lot of things in their lives. At the same time, I didn't feel that's me. I didn't feel that's what I really, really wanted to do with my life. And I decided that I would go to try to see what the Lubavitcher Rabbi had to say about that. So many of you heard this from me. Of course, it wasn't possible anymore to have Yechidus with the Rabbi. So I was talking to some friends of mine, some Hasidim, and they said, you know, it's Sunday morning. It wasn't the morning, it was probably Mincha time. And to go, maybe I'll be able to get in a word when the Rebbe comes out. After Mincha, I think. So I went, 770. And I was so excited because there were only like 10 people there outside waiting. And I thought that I would actually be able to talk to the Rabbi, to ask him something. But then around 30 seconds, a minute or 30 seconds before it was time for him to come out, all of a sudden there were hundreds of people. And I was pushed like to the back. There was some kind, big chassid that gave me some help to get to the front of the row. That time it was a high school, or leaving high school, college maybe at that time, and I was wearing a kippah suga that, you know, that had my name on it. But they felt bad for me, you know, as a tzigger came in the outsider, so they pushed me up a little bit. And the Rebbe came out like clockwork, going to the oil, I think at that time he was carrying a bag with kritlach. And you know, he walked very, very quickly. And I was just trying to make eye contact for a second. I gave up on talking about anything, but I was hoping to make eye contact. But he walked so fast, and I tried, and he just went right past me to the car. And he was walking and nodding to people like this. And he walked to the car, and he stepped one foot into the car, then he left the car, and he walked back to where I was standing. He went right 6 inches away from me, and with a big smile on his face, he just waved his arm like this. That's all. Which my mother understood meant Colombia. My father, Zichron Livracha, understood it the way that I did. All I could think about, I was trying to pay attention to my friends talking, and I was in the Grunim, and I was thinking about the Rebbe's eyes, those beautiful, beautiful eyes that I was likely to look into. The smile that he gave me, and the soul that he gave me, the life that he gave me. When he waved his arm. And I'm feeling that push. I'm feeling that encouragement. So much now looking around at you. I'm so grateful for HaKadosh Baruch Hu for bringing us together. So I know it's late, and Yerushalayim runs at different times. I want to share with you some of that feeling of the Rebbe's wave. Some of the things I thought I would say, but mostly just to talk to you. Sichas Chaverim. Chaverim came from Karvelacha to, one of the Chaverim came to interview me, to speak to me about Chassidus over here in our dear in Yerushalayim. It's hard to explain what Chassidus is, what Chassidus means to me, what it means to you, each person. Like Rabbi Nachman says in the first Torah in Sichas Haran, Ani adati ki gorla Hashem, Ani. Only I know what that means to me. So I'm just trying to give over a little bit of that for a few minutes. It was given to me to share, which I've been trying for all of these years to share with my Chaverim. I think you all know that when it came time for the Alter Rebbe to be taken away to prison, and he knew that that's what was coming, that's what was happening. I think you all know, it was mentioned before, but Judah mentioned, and Rav Jacobson also mentioned the Kedushas Levi. But I think that you know that the Alter Rebbe sent a Shliach, the Badishev, the Heilige Badishev is Chus Yerleinu. He sent a Shliach to tell the Kedushas Levi what was happening, and that the Kedushas Levi, the Heilige Badishev, should be Ma'ir Rachmim. The Alter Rebbe wasn't just asking for himself, he Ma'ir Rachmim and the Baal Shem HaKadosh. The Alter Rebbe understood that the whole Teres Baal Shem was in danger. And all of the tzaddikim, that Chavraya Kedisha, from the Baal Shem, the Mezritcher Magid, and the Talmidim of the Mezritcher Magid, all that they were poil, was in danger. And the light of Mashiach was in danger of being extinguished. Because the light of the Baal Shem is the light of the 7 days of creation. It's Irish to Mashiach. The Alter Rebbe sent the Shliach to go, that the Badishev should be Ba'ir Rachmim. Because who knew how to daven like the Kedushas Levi? The Shliach finally arrived in Badishev. because of the Tiltulei Haderech, until he got there, he couldn't remember the name of the Alter Rebbe's mother. The B'dishvei asked what's the name of the Rebbe's mother, the daven. And the Shliach couldn't remember. The Kedushas Levi, he opened up Chumash, and his holy eyes fell into the words of this parasha, Miketz. The words, Vayar Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. And the B'dishvei screamed out, Shever, Shnei Zalman ben Rivka. Shnei Zalman ben Rivka Shever. Shnei ben Rivka. Vayar Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. You know that Shever means that Yaakov saw that even in Mitzrayim, there's a way for Jews to live. There's a way for us to survive even in the Mitzrayim of Mitzrayim. Shever means sustenance, it means food. Shever is also a lashon of Tzibrochenkite. That Yaakov saw that they were going to be in the future, it's going to be long dollars. And yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. There are going to be many mashberim, many terrorists, many broken Jews, many wars, many almanis, many yisraelim lo aleinu. Many broken-hearted, disappointed people who want to get married, who aren't, who want to have children and can't. Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim, and Yaakov saw that there's going to be such a shever, there's going to be so many mashberim that Am Yisrael is going to have to go through, that his children are going to have to suffer through. But there's no question that the Heilige B'dishvei saw in those words. That Yaakov also saw far ahead, and that he saw that Hashem was going to send into the world the Baal Shem HaKadosh Chusi Eleinu, Tami Av Hashem, the Baal Tanya, who was a great warrior for Chassidus of that generation, of that time, and for all times. And yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. And Rav Judah mentioned before that when the Alter Rebbe was freed, he made a promise. And you and I can take that promise to the bank. The Alter Rebbe said, Kol Mishtatev, just mentioning what Rav Judah said before, Kol Mishtatev, the words which the Rebbe Schussenu mentioned in Yud Tes Kislev and touching Yud Tes, that he heard from the Friedrich Rebbe Schusi Elein, that the Friedrich Rebbe had a Kabbalah from one generation to the next, that the Alter Rebbe said, Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi. Whoever will be Mishtatev, whoever will take part in my Simcha of Yud Tes Kislev, he didn't mean just to have a L'chai, to make a L'chai. Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi. But the Simcha of this Galus of the Ur Baal Shem, and the Yeshua and the Geula of Yud Tes Kislev, with the light of Mashiach, the light of Chassidus, was in danger of being extinguished. And Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi, look at us. Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi. Yaakov saw us, and he saw the Alter Rebbe, and he saw the Shever b'Mitzrayim, and he saw there were going to be Jews like us, who in certain ways have everything that we could ever want. We have what to eat. Life is good, Baruch Hashem. Aber nachum kol kach shvurim, mitzvutsim, broken. Especially this past year. And the Rabbi promised, Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi, Oisi, I will take him out. Min ha-meitzar el ha-merchav. I will take you out. If you connect to me, if you connect to what this Yontiv is about, if you connect to the Geula of Yutes Kislev, to the Geula of Yutes Kislev, which is also the Geula really in Pnimius of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and of the Ariya Kodesh, and of the Goyin, and of the Ramchal, and of the Leshem, all the Tzaddikim of Pnimius, all the Tzaddikim who had the eyes of Mashiach Tzidkeinu. After he promised, I'm going to take you out, and I made Star El Amerchav. I will take you out. I will help you through me, through this Torah, through these teachings. You will be able to climb out of that maze that you're in. Min ha-maze el ha-merchav. Min ha-geshem el ha-ruach. You will be able to overcome, which Rav Jacobson was talking about, being a person who's stuck in the house of Potiphar, who's lost in the world of the Mitzrayim of Mitzrayim. I will take you out from that place of obsession with this world and all the ugliness that is found in this world. And it will bring you to a place of a Yetzei Vayonis Vayetzei Achutz Min ha-merchel el ha-meitzar, min ha-geshem el ha-ruach, u'min ha-gehenim. Those were his final words. Even if Chalila you're a Jew who has found himself, you find yourself Chalila in the depths of Gehenna. And whatever that iteration of Gehenna is in Toshin Pei Hey. We have brothers and sisters that are in Gehenna and Ketchutai, an hour and a quarter or an hour and a half away from here. Who knows what they're going through? Who knows who's alive, who's there? Umin ha-Gehenna. And I believe I'm going to shleim that by being mishtatif in this and living a life of connecting to this Geula of what Yutes Kislev is, we're able to somehow rip open the doors of that place as well of Gehenna. Listen to this, Chaver. After he was freed, he spoke about what happened while he was there. The Rabbi spoke about the interrogation. And he said that it was clear to him that the interrogators were giving him an opportunity to be free. And they were giving him an opportunity to acquit himself. And all he had to do was to say something by way of officially declaring that he has no part of this new movement of the Karlinas, of the Hasidim. The Alter Rebbe understood that the choice was either he would say a few words and make some sort of a silly statement, because they were just looking for some formal statement. And he understood that if he would not do that, that the choice was most likely he would be put to death. The Alter Rebbe said that he could not and he would not utter one word. He wouldn't utter one word that in any way would imply, on any level, even to the simplest jailkeeper or attorney there in that court, that he was separating himself in any way from the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. Even though he understood that it meant that he would most likely be put to death. The question, of course, is, everybody knows about Tanya. was also the author of Shulchan Aruch Harav, and he knew how to learn very well. And even those of us who are simple Jews know that for such a thing one doesn't have to die to make some formal statement to an anti-Semite. He wasn't renouncing his belief in God. We're not talking here about Avodah Zarah. We're not talking about Gilei Reis, Sfikas Damim. Dibur Ezer Dibur Kal. To take a step back from the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And Alter Rabbi said, B'shum Oifen, he couldn't do such a thing. He wouldn't and he couldn't do such a thing. So, Chaver, in this lies the mystery of the Rebbe's wave. Because it wasn't just to me. It was to our entire generation after the Holocaust that my parents survived, and some of your parents or grandparents. The Shever Mitzrayim was unspeakable. The generation was dying. Had no chiyus, no reason to go on, no reason to live. The Alter Rabbi was teaching as the following. This was what I couldn't say to the person from the newspaper, but I want to share with you. I was talking the other day, last week I had a conversation with the tzaddikas. Whose son was one of the hostages that was killed. And I'm reviewing this conversation. We spoke for around 45 minutes or so. And I haven't stopped going over this conversation. And I was thinking over and over while she was talking about his beautiful face, how I had seen his picture thousands of times. And his picture was all over the walls here in Yerushalayim. And his picture is all over a lamppost that's Tiny Yisrael tearing down. The Alter Rebbe spoke about this a number of times. That what he wanted most from the Chassidim was that they should feel one for the other. Rabbi was saying in Mishpacha, all Jews, that when something happens to another Jew, when a Jew is going through a tzara lo aleinu, and a Jew is in a maze time, ze nogea li, ze ko'ev li. And I was thinking how many times I saw her son's face, and I said, oy vey. But did I feel the way that I would feel if Khalila was my son, it was my grandson, that was in that meitzah? That was in that Shever b'Mitzrayim. Did I feel that I can't breathe? But she was telling, well, the other way. When there's a person, friend, another Jew who's enjoying a simcha. Do I feel that simcha is my simcha? Does that simcha of that person give me chiyus? When the great Chassidim was by the Baal Tanya, he was by the Mittler Rebbe, and he was by the Tzemach Tzedek. It was Rabbi Isaac Hamala, Suchus Yalein. That if he wouldn't have been a Chassid, he would have been the biggest Rebbe in the world himself. A Goyin, a Kaddish, a Maskil, a Malmik, in a Avodas Hashem. And more than anything, he wanted to have a private shir with the Alter Rebbe and Chassidus. He wanted to learn Chassidus with the Alter Rebbe one-on-one. The Baal Tanya, for different reasons, pushed him, didn't allow for such a thing. Till finally one day Rabbi Ezekiel wrote down a kvittel. To the Rabbi, he wrote a kvittel. Rabbi, if I don't have this opportunity to learn with you now, panim al panim, face to face, not the fabring, panim al panim. If I don't have this opportunity, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I will not continue living. I cannot live. He got in. You know what it means to have a Rebbe? And this is why I'm talking about the Rebbe's word. You know what it means to have a tzaddik, to have a Rebbe in your life? And to connect to the Svar HaKadoshim. To have a Rebbe means there's a person in your life, there's a tzaddik in your life. Sometimes that could be your wife. Sometimes it could be a good friend. A tzaddik like that is a person who, with a wave of the arm, with a look in his eyes or her eyes, is able to give you the chiyus to live, the desire to go on living, and not just to live. A person can go to a shir. We heard beautiful words from two tzaddikim before, my friends. Very gewaldig in the gunim, from Yonah, from Chilik, from the Chevra. And it's possible to hear an entire shir on the subject of Ater Reis Ladas, of Ein Oid Mulvada. It's possible to hear an entire shir where all that's being spoken about is Elokus. And to hear a niggin of Kiddush, to hear the niggin of the four bones of the Alter Rebbe. It doesn't give you life. It doesn't give you chiyus. It doesn't give you a reason to live. You can open up on Friday night. You can learn a Torah from the. You can open up to Torah, to look at the Torah. You can open up to Me'ashilach. You can open up to Lukutei Moran. And it's nice. It's good. But Rebbe Rashab said about this Yom Tov Yutas Kislev, that b'yoyim zeh on this day, or v'chiyas nafsheina nitn lanu. On this day, the or, the light, and the chiyas of our souls was given back to us. Now I was learning Torah before I came to learn Chassidus. And every word of Torah, whatever you're learning, in Nigla, any word that we're learning of Torah, is kihen chen v'erech yamein. I can't explain, like Rabbi Nachman says in that Torah, ani adati. I can't explain how is it and why is it that when I actually began to learn Kedushas Lev, and when I actually began to learn Morinai and Shemesh Shmuel and Me'er Shiloach and the Lukutei Moharan and Sfas Hemes and so on, when I actually began to learn this Torah, that the Or and Chiyas was given to me, that the light and the life of my life was given to me. The Torah was no longer about something that somebody was writing about, but rather is an Ogea Li. And to try to feel that that picture of the hostage on the wall is not somebody outside of myself, it's an Ogea Li. That person is part of my own Or, my own Chiyas. Rabbi Nachman Schusiganu said, he said to the Chassidim, I know that you're Yehudim Ksheir, that you're kosher Jews. Avalola Zennis Kavanti. But that wasn't my kavanah. My kavanah was not, and even though it's wonderful, you're kosher Jews, they didn't have a daf yomi then, but let's say you're kosher Jew, you learn the daf. You go to daven, shachris milchama b'tzibur. You do all the right things. Rabbi Nachman said, "Lo elazen this kavanti." That was not my intention with all that I'm putting you through and all that I'm going through. So what was his intention? So Rabbi Nachman said that you should be like chayos, like hamas b'yar. Leiloi shleimu, you should be like animals, howling and screaming in the forest at night, with your love of God, with the chiyus of Yiddishkeit, with the awe and the chiyus of being connected to the Bari Olam. That was my kavanah. Like animals screaming at night. How did Chanukah happen, Chevra? Things were going on and on and on. And you all know the story. And there were 13 Jews. And these 13 Jews screamed out, Mila Hashem Elai. The same way we see by Shimon and Levi. The Nevola, there was a Nevola took place by Yisrael. Something terrible took place. The Jewish people, Am Yisrael, was attacked. Am Yisrael was taken advantage of. Jewish women were taken away to Gaza. Le'asa came, and the Nevola of Yisrael. And there were Jews of Hashmonaim who said, Zenogei Alam. It's not a matter of can we win. It was impossible to win. Rabbi V'atim, Tmei V'atarim, Rishon V'atzadikim, Zeidim V'atzadikim, it wasn't possible to win. The same way that Alter Rebbe understood that Al Pi Teva was not possible for him to go on living, that the Russians were going to kill him. Because Alter Rebbe wasn't thinking at that moment of the Rambam or Shulchan Aruch, which he knew by heart since he was a child. He wasn't thinking about the Rambam or Shulchan Aruch. He wasn't thinking about a sugya in Sanhedrin on Yehorid V'Yav. The Alter Rebbe is saying, Ich kenish. The Baal Shem Tov is my or, is my chiyas. The Baal Shem Tov is my or, is my chiyas. The Alter Rebbe was screaming like an animal in the forest in that courtroom in Russia. And each and every one of you, many of you I know, we're friends, old friends, Chaver from Shul, some of the Talmidim, the Bachim from our Kehillah. The Rebbe Shalom has been waiting this entire tkufa, from the beginning, from Shmini Atzeres till now, for his children to scream like animals in the forest. Toda Lashem. To put on a tefillin, to light a Shabbos kin. For a Jew to say to another Jew who doesn't look like him, who doesn't seem to be like him, who never learned in yeshiva, to say to that person, Achi, my brother, your child is missing. Zenogei Ali. Your husband was killed. Zenogei Ali. I can't walk around feeling whole and full if on the street if I'm going to a pizza shop, into my collar, because I know that there are chevra an hour from here, an hour and a quarter away from here, who are sitting in a mesa, in a Gehenna. And therefore there was historians this past year of the Asta came. There was a Nevola that took place to Am Yisrael, and Jewish women were taken away, and Jewish men and children were taken away. And Shimon and Levi and the Chashmonaim screamed like animals in the forest. Rabbi Nachman said, that's my kavanah. That's what the Rebbe's arm, that's what that wave of the arm means to me. Do something. Davening is not just davening, it's the aura of davening. Shabbos is the aura of Shabbos. Not to get it over with. It's the aura, it's my chiyus. You know, when the Alter Rebbe's Christian, when the Alter Rebbe died, the Mittler Rebbe was not there. He was actually far away in Kremenchuk. Working for his father. And when they brought the news to the Mittler Rebbe, he fainted. They told that his father was nifter. The Mittler Rebbe fainted. And they tried to revive him, and he opened his eyes for a second and he fainted again. This happened a few times. And there was no old chassid there that had an idea. There was a box that the Mittler Rebbe had with him of ksovim, of kisvei yad from his father, of chassidus from his father. And the chassid, this old chassid, said, bring the box next to the Mittler Rebbe. And they revived the Mittler Rebbe, and then he brought the ksovim and he put it into the face of the Mittler Rebbe. And the Mittler Rebbe looked at the ksovim of his father and he said, Mehabim mitvos tilabim. Mehabim mitvos tilabim. Now there's a reason for me to live. I have a reason to live. Mehabim mitvos tilabim. That's what Chassidus is. That's what Yud-Tes Kislev is. Every single person is here, not because of a speaker, that speaker or a song. Every single one of you feels a connection to this on one level or another, and the whole world is coming to feel this. It's happening. All of you are part of an unbelievable mahapecha. Stay tuned. There are a lot of good things coming up.
Amen.
It's a mahapecha. The reason that you're here is because you were all davening, you were all learning, you all were keeping mitzvahs, you're all wonderful people. But you couldn't breathe. You were suffocating. And all that was missing from your life was the oil and the chiyus. You know, sometimes you walk into a home and there's a couple, they have been living there for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30 years. Sometimes the second you walk in, you feel that it's a lechtige house. You feel there's an or and a chiyus in this house. That this marriage is a living marriage. They didn't say anything, but you could tell, you could feel it. You could see in their eyes. There's an or and there's a chiyus. And there are other times you walk into a house and they have all the expensive paintings and they have all the right mezuzahs, and they have a svarim shrine filled with all the good stuff. The only thing that's missing is what? Or and chiyus. There's no life. It's not alive. So all of you are part of what's happening. There was somebody from outside last year, I mentioned to some of the chevra, somebody from outside of the chevra that was complaining to me, what's going on in Binyanei Huma, what are they doing over there, making svarim sales till 3 in the morning, and they're having all kinds of concerts and fabrangans, what's going on? There's a person who's challenged by all of this. And so I said, why don't you make one for yourself? Rabbi, get some of your svarim that you like, and make a sale for till 3 o'clock in the morning, you get some of your chevra together. No one's saying it just has to be us, right? This is not exclusive. Rabbi. Those who are looking for her in chiyus in our generation have found a place, have found a way. The thousands and tens of thousands of svarim that are coming out every year. That when I was growing up and I went to Yeshiva Central Queens in Jamaica, not the island, Jamaica, Queens, where you were risking your life being on the Q44. The whole farm still had a couple of farm, a Sonsino Chumash or something. If you know the old timers know what I'm talking about. So I went into this story. And the story is a bracha. So many of you have heard this from me. It just came into my head to tell it to you. One year Purim, Chassidim came from all over. Many of them had to risk their lives also to be with the Heilige Rishner for Purim. There were thousands of people in this medrash. The only one who wasn't there, he was there, but the Rebbe himself had his head on the table. Everybody was looking forward the entire year to receiving some or some chiz from that great tzaddik. And the Rebbe himself was out of it, not from drinking. They understood the Jews were afraid. They felt that there was some terrible, terrible gzeira. They saw the Rebbe was in a dark place, and they were terrified. And they didn't know what to do. So there was a famous Badchan, he himself was a tzaddik. Like the court jester. The Rishna had a whole malchus. And there was a court jester there. His name is Rabbi. I don't remember how he was called. But he was a famous Badchan. And he started to give his best stuff. His best jokes to Purim. He was terrific. And the Rebbe was just like staring at him. The whole place was cracking up. And the Rebbe was just staring at him. Couldn't smile. And then this Badchan did something crazy. He jumped up on the table right in front of the Rishner's face with his boots right by the Rishner's face, and all the food was knocked off even on the Rebbe himself. And he was standing there, a chutzpah, the people couldn't believe it, they didn't know what to do. He jumped mamish on the table and was standing over the Rebbe. And the Rebbe looked at him and said, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, "I want to say something to the Rebbe." And they were so shocked. Normally, Chassidim would just take the guy and tear him apart. Throw him out. They were so shocked, they just stood there. And he said, "I want to say something to the Rebbe." The Rebbe looked at him and he said, "What?" He said, there was a tzaddik in the world, Rabbi Naftali Ropshitzer. And if you were a chassid of Rabbi Naftali Ropshitzer, it was good for you in this world. And then when you left this world, it was good for you in the other world. In this world, you'd come to the Rabbi Naftali Ropshitzer, and there was a simcha, and he'd give you a hug, and there was an or and chiz, Rabbi Naftali Ropshitzer. And then that person at 120 would come to the next world, and they looked over a little at his papers, and they say, and they asked him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm a chassid from Naftali Ropshitzer." And they say, "Yes," and he would say something, they would start to live, and they would run into Gan Eden. Naftali Ropshitzer was very fun. So it was good for that chassid in this world, and then it was good from the other world. But to be a Rishner, to be a chassid of yours, it's not good in this world, and it's not worth anything in the next world. In this world, thousands of Jews risked their lives. Poor people say Debbie Kopek to be able to be with the Rebbe on Purim. That was Simchas Purim. And it's Tisha B'Av over here. So in this world, what we get from you? Nothing. And what happens to a chassid that gets to the other world? So they ask him in the other world, "No. And who is your Rabbi?" So my Rabbi was the Rishner. It's a brach in the mensch. I'm Arshchar. So it's not good by you in this world, and it's not worth anything in the next world. So at that point, the Rishner grabbed his feet and said, "Get out of here!" And he started yelling at all the Chassidim, "I don't need any of you. You can all leave. Not this world, not the next world. I don't need any of you. All of you can leave." And people start to back up and get out of their chairs. They didn't know what to do. And the Rabbi was holding on to the Badchan's feet and said, "Why don't you leave me? Go!" And then he sat on the table, the Badchan, like a little baby. And he began to cry. He probably had a few drinks. He began to cry, and he put his hands not on the Rabbi, but next to the Rabbi. He said, Rabbi, I'll never ever leave you. I can't leave you. I will not leave you. You're my life. You're the truth. I'll never leave you. I don't care. I believe that that's the Rebbe's way. I believe that's the Yiddishkeit. The Yiddishkeit, Rabbi Nachman said that Lezen is kavanti. I believe that's Mehabim Mikvos Talevim. The Or and the Chiyas doesn't come from always feeling great. It doesn't come from always being happy, but feeling that happiness. The Simcha of Yutas Kislev, that the Alter Rebbe gave us that opening, that chance. To hold on to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to say, no matter what, I'm never ever going to leave you. Because you're the truth. You're all I have. There's nothing else, only you. I give a bracha to each and every one of you. We should all be strong soldiers in this new army that's growing every day. Strong and courageous soldiers that are not discouraged by a little bit of a mania, something that gets in the way, or a little bit of a nefila, or a little bit of a yerida. To try to imagine the tzaddikim all waving their arms. That here we are at the end of time. Many, many years later, the tzaddikim left us a world, the Mahabim Midvas Shalem, to give ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, no, all of Am Yisrael, the chiyas, to be able to remain alive, and to greet David Malki Mashiach, the Gulash of Amitis, and Mehebi Amenu Amen V'Amen.